Do you ever find yourself inspired or learning something in a place where you really didn't expect to be learning anything? I was at a stand-up comedy show this weekend at a comedian named Aziz Ansari's show, and I found myself completely tuned in to some of his methods for creating a connection with the audience. And I definitely didn't expect it. I expected to go there and to laugh my butt off, which I did. But I didn't expect my social marketing brain to kick in and to learn anything about some strategies for how you can develop a deeper connection. I'm Whitney Ryan, and in this video, I'm going to tell you about 4 ways that you can connect with your audience through social marketing that I learned from a stand-up comedian. So first thing, when we walked in the theater, the first thing I noticed were that there were signs everywhere saying that we couldn't record anything. And so one of the first things he did when he came out onto the stage is that Aziz brought up this fact that you're not supposed to record anything. He addressed it outright. He wasn't passive aggressive about it and putting up signs and not addressing it. He came out and said, look, I know you've seen the signs and here's why we do it. And everyone was kind of like, okay, we get it. And then he goes, I'm going to take a couple minutes right now and you can take as many photos as you want. I know you want to remember this. I know you want to post it on Instagram. So you can take photos here. And it stuck out to me because it was such a great little customer service trick, because he took the time. It must have been 2 minutes, so not a huge commitment to him, but to give us what we were asking for, instead of just completely expecting that we're going to adhere to what he wanted. He understood the reality of the situation, and he understood that people were going to do it anyway, so he might as well make it on his terms. I would not have done it anyway. I'm a rule follower to my grave, so I already had my phone turned off in my purse, so I didn't even get to take any photos. But there are a lot of people who would have snuck 1 or 2 anyway. So yeah, he just understood and he kind of met us in the middle. And this is something that I think really, really relates to social marketing, because so many business owners and entrepreneurs are afraid of giving away too much for free. They're afraid to make a video tutorial because then maybe their clients won't come to them, they'll do it themselves. And things like that, and just sharing too much that might hurt their business. So I just wanted to use this as an example of a really smart way to meet in the middle. One strategy that I think is really helpful when you're trying to figure out what sort of content you want to share on social media or on your blog is to give the what away for free, but to charge for the how. So you can tell someone what they need to do or what the steps are, but to actually learn the trade secrets and the process, that's something that you keep for yourself, and that's something that only your customers and your clients get to experience. So you can really get creative with it, and you can still give a lot of value away in the what, but you can still hold on to that how, hold on to those little nuggets that really get your customers and provide them with even more value down the road. So that's just a little tip I like to use if you're kind of struggling for where to draw the line between what to give away and what to keep for yourself, so you can meet in the middle and give your customers something that's going to be really helpful and valuable for them. The next thing that I learned from the comedy show was the value of a well-delivered encore. So I'm guessing you know what an encore is. It's when a show ends and the performer goes off stage and says, thank you, good night, and they walk off, and then they come back and they give you a little bit more. And Aziz did this in his show. He walked off the stage, everyone clapped, a few people stood up, and then he walked back out on stage. He was out there for, it must have been a half hour. And honestly, it was the beginning of his tour, so I think he was testing out some new material on us, so that's why it was longer. But we just felt like we got so much more. We felt like, we had the show that we paid for, and then we got all this extra stuff. And so that was a really important insight that I gained from it, is how much better something feels when you feel like it's extra. We were really happy at the end of the show. We thought that was great, we had a great time, and then he came out and gave us more. So it's this idea of kind of cleverly just positioning things so that your clients and your customers feel like they're getting more. the encore, it's totally planned. They break up their amount of material so that the encore is part of the show. But it's just that slight little psychological trick that makes you feel like you're getting something special and something extra. So I think that's a really important thing, is to kind of inject those extras into your marketing, because it really does feel like a lot more. The third thing that he did really well was to involve the audience. And most comedians do this to a certain extent. They have some banter back and forth, but the audience was such an active part of his whole show. He had us, it was all about different relationships. He kind of went through all the funny challenges that you deal with at each part. And every time he kind of segued into a new section, he'd be like, clap if you're single, clap if you have 2 kids, clap if. He did a portion on the meat industry, which I'm a vegetarian, so I got pretty pumped when I heard that. But, clap if you don't eat meat. So he really kind of got us involved, so he could get a sense of who was listening to him. And he also called some people up during the performance. He read through some of their text messages. So it was really interactive. And the fact that he had clear calls to action, that he said, clap if you're single, instead of who's single, or sometimes he would say, raise your hand, or he would say, come up to the front if. So he gave us very clear directions to take him to what he wanted to do. And that's always really important when you're approaching your marketing, to have very clear objectives that you want people to follow, and don't be afraid to tell them, in a nice way, of course. And then the last thing that I learned from this stand-up comedy show is really something I think that can be applied to most stand-up comedians, but it's this almost fearlessness in taking risks. It's about trying a bunch of different jokes and seeing what people's responses are, and repeating the ones that are great and that get tons of laughs, and ditching the ones that nobody else thinks are funny but you and maybe your mom. And I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to social media and social marketing. You're so careful and so precious with what you're putting out there, which is because you care about what you're doing and you want to put only your best stuff forward. But it's really important to take those risks and to try using a different voice, or to try sharing a different type of content, or to run a contest, or just being open to seeing what works, because there is no magic formula. You have to test out a bunch of different stuff and measure that different stuff, and just keep repeating what works, and don't feel bad about throwing away the stuff that doesn't. If Aziz had this joke that he thought was hilarious and told it 3 nights in a row and nobody laughed, he's not going to hold on to it, because it's not serving him. It's not making his reputation as a funny guy any stronger. So I just really admire that about stand-up comedians, that they're always tweaking their performance. I think every night it's a little bit different based on their findings. It's really kind of a research process. It just really stuck out to me that this was a great strategy that people can apply to their online marketing as well. So now I'm going to give you a clear call to action and ask you to please like this video if you liked it, if you found something interesting in it, and let me know below in the comments which of the 4 pieces of advice you are most excited to apply to your social marketing, or that you struggle with the most. Or if there's anything else that you can think of that a stand-up comedian does really, really well to connect with their audience, that we could use to explain social marketing. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you later.